Hi, Austin, Texas. It is time for your housing update for the week of July the 25th. Let's dig in. As of Monday, there were 8,830 homes for sale in the Austin area, which is great news for buyers if you chose not to participate in the market conditions of the past 18 months. And for sellers, as we continue to see home values up by 20 to 50% in various zip codes around the city, you know what? Things are looking good. And let's get into the numbers and the housing market, because you know what? Media around the globe is having a field day, creating story and boosting their ad revenues. Listen, here's the thing. There are 1,266 homes for sale. That's 147 less homes than last week. There are 1,774 homes that had a decrease since last week, where there were 2,083. And we are also looking at price increases being up. From last week, we had about 213. The market is barely down and basically flat from the previous week. When we look at what is under contract, we're down from last week, just slightly. And we are currently sort of in the process of holding flat with our pending sales as well, which basically means when we look at the two of them, you take your under contract and your pending and you add them together. And those are homes that are either in their option period, but they're in some point in their contract, just to let you know. What else is going on? We saw 740 homes that were sold last week, which is up from the previous week. And we had 38 homes that had listings that expired. So that was basically flat. And expired means that the house was on the market, but it did not sell in the time allocated for the contract. That contract is no longer on the MLS. What else is happening? Oh my gosh. We have homes that are on hold. What's happening on a hold? On hold means, you know what? We're taking a break. Like Ross and Rachel. If you didn't get that joke, I feel for you. But there are homes that are just currently on hold and they'll be back. What else does all of this mean? All right, let's take a look at the 30,000 foot view, because people are moving to Austin every single day. Amazon is spending $1 billion in building out their campus by 2025. Oracle is not finished with their build out yet. Google's not finished. And there are going to be more people moving here for the next 5 to 10 years. And people just plain are moving to Austin, Texas. There's not going to be any change for the foreseeable future. That is for sure. We're also seeing higher rate in rents, and that continues to be a big story here and everywhere as far as North America goes. And I'm talking to all sorts of people and hearing the same thing. Actually, I have a friend who's in a luxury condo in Las Vegas. They just asked him for a 25% increase in his luxury condo lease. He's already paying like 8 or 10 grand and he thinks it's ridiculous, but he may stay. We'll see what happens. More on that in the fall. Let's get back to sellers. Sellers, what does it mean? Given that the housing inventory that is currently for sale are hovering at almost 8,900 homes, our market is becoming more balanced. That's what it means. Yay! It's like we've got 10 or 14 days worth of inventory, but no more. So sellers, how your home is marketed right now to the buyers is more important now than ever. No putting a sign in the yard, putting in the MLS and praying. This is the time that you really need to consider, just like pre-pandy, of how you are going to show your home, and you need an incredible marketer who knows how to market your home. Anyone who tells you that marketing doesn't matter, run. That said, Austin is still very much a seller's market based on the pent-up higher demands and the fact that we have more and more people moving here. That's it for you sellers. If you're a buyer, listen up, because here we go. What does it mean in this market if you're a buyer? If you are buying a home in Austin, Texas, then you want to know that you are still in a hot seller's market. Honestly, I may sound like a broken record by the time the year is out, but you got to remember, Austin is still relatively cheap compared to so many markets. And it's hot here. Let's face it. Okay, it's like 108 while I'm shooting this, but all kidding aside, there is, even with the increase in inventory, we all need to consider how flexible we want to be to find that house to call home. Talked about buying, we've talked about selling. Let's talk about the build to rent market, which is growing. Anything that's 30 to 45 minutes out of town, you can look at the money money that these build to rent guys are getting, and they're in hot pursuit. Right now, builders earn more from development in the grand scheme of things than they do from building one-off homes. As you can imagine, they cost them all this money to procure wood and all of the things. And the next thing you know, they may as well be developing more and more money. Even though they're paying taxes for the larger land, they can earn more when all is said and done. The rents are increasing as we move out of the city, as these builders are also seeing that in the city, rents are going up, and they're like, hey, we're going to move toward multifamily and rent to own and see what we can do to get our costs down and our finances higher when all is said and done. Prices overall, the increase is slowing. Some listing prices are going down in Austin, Texas. Yes, I said it. It's true. Because if you bought a house 2.5 years ago, pre-pandy, then you've seen upwards by anything of 50 to 100% increase in your home value. So quickly. 50% over probably 2.5 years, and some people 100% in the last 5 years. Listen, if you locked in around 3% a couple years ago, you're laughing to the bank. And here's the thing. Will house values continue to go down? I don't think so. Will the prices continue to go down? Maybe a little bit. But listen, as the poet Virgil said, fortune favors the bold. So think about what this market is right now. Put your little buying and selling bonnet on, because this is where my knowledge and skills and strength is going to come to talk to you about navigating the waters, because I can't and won't stick my head in the sand and pretend that our economy isn't at the forefront of your mind and you vote with your wallet. The big question right now of many is whether or not demand is slowing because people believe that the economy is worse. Here's the thing. The media, aka the news, aka not the same word as truth, different words in the dictionary, they're designed to sell ratings and get people to keep coming back. They're helping to ensure, I think, a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy if they are shouting about the health of the economy or not, if they're shouting about the health of the housing market or not. Here's the thing. This is my philosophy major comes in. We believe what we perceive. Gas prices have come down a little bit. Yay to that. Our food prices continue to go up. But honestly, do I expect that houses are going to rise? Absolutely. Do I expect that they're going to rise at the speed that we've seen them in the last couple of years? Absolutely not. No longer feasible. Government is not printing money anymore, and now they're taking us to town on getting paybacks and sending our inflation through the roof. Right now, there's a shift in most people's 401ks and their crypto and stocks, and there's market volatility affecting the housing market. No question about it. However, I owe it to myself and I owe it to you to follow the global economy, because I am selling homes in Austin, Texas, and I need to understand how the macro impacts our micro. So just know, have a realtor that can talk about these things, because it does matter. I'm not going to pretend that the rest of the world does not have an effect on Austin, Texas, because it does. What else has an effect on our purchasing power? Our tax rate. That's right. If our tax rates stay the same as they were last year, given how much our values have increased, our taxes are about to be a whole lot higher this coming year. With that said, don't forget you can protest your taxes every single year. Now, if you have a question about whether or not you are paying your taxes on the number that the tax man said it was earlier in the year, or you're paying it on what it is at the end of the year, those tax assessments are based on numbers that were pulled in January, February, and those are the numbers that you will be paying on come next year. Just a heads up, put your pesos away. As a buyer, remember, as you're going forward and you're looking to buy one of these houses, your tax number is going to be different than that is showing on the multiple listing service. And remember, if you are thinking about getting a deal, if you go direct to the listing agent and you think you're going to get a deal, think again. The listing agent represents the seller. They cannot represent you if you're thinking about going direct. I can't stress that enough. The same thing with builders. Builders work for the builders. You need someone in your corner if you're a buyer, because I guarantee you the thousands and thousands of dollars that are being saved by buyers with the builders are not those that are going it alone. And the stories I've heard from the past couple of years where the builders and their prices and their housing inventory and what they've listed it for and what they've sold it for, and it's just been crazy. Thankfully, things are leveling out, as I mentioned earlier. Let me end with this about the Austin, Texas housing market. There are opportunities for buying and selling in every market condition. Interest rates are going to fluctuate daily. The people are buying homes in Austin, Texas, and you know what? They're not going to be any cheaper in a few years. If you are waiting for a price reduction, I wish you all the power in the world. And I know I'm a realtor, not a secret. That's why I'm creating this video content for you. I'm here to serve and answer your questions. As I've said, we have a pent up buyer demand, and this is not going away just based on the number of jobs alone from big tech companies, let alone the rest of us. It's expensive as you think houses are right now. We are in a cycle, and every time we are in a cycle, we see things go up and down, and on every single cycle, housing market goes up. Just a fact of life. Lots to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this market if you're a buyer or a seller in this economy, and what you're considering right now about where you're living, loving, working, and playing in Austin, Texas. Please do me a favor, just go below and hit us up. We'd like to hear where your head is at for rates, where your head is at for the market, and what you think about this economy. Because 5 years from now, you're not going to be able to look at me and say, I'm glad I bought in 5 years instead of bought 5 years ago. I'm Jennifer S. Goodman, living in Austin, Texas. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's market update. We'll catch you next time.